My 25F boyfriend, 31M, and I have hit a slump in our relationship. My boyfriend is awesome. He is kind and lovely, funny and clever. When we first met I was absolutely besotted with him, and he me. We still are, but things are changing and it's making me feel uneasy. We have been together 2 years. The foundation of our relationship is that we are best friends, and I worry that the lovey, romance part is falling away and I just don't feel as super close to him. We moved in together about 4 months ago and it's great, but he can be quite closed off emotionally sometimes and I still feel like I'm learning stuff about him. We used to spend our evenings actively together and making memories, but with lockdown and stuff we sometimes just sit watching TV and don't talk. I've broached the subject with him and he says he doesn't feel any different, but I think he just avoids difficult conversations. We don't argue at all and we've not really had to have tough discussions about our relationship. Our sex life has also fallen off a cliff recently. We have always clicked so perfectly and been on the same wavelength, and we're just not at the moment. I would just love some wise words from people that have got through this. Is there something we can do? I fully intend to be with this man through thick and thin and I really want to work through it. Thank you for any guidance. TL, Doctor needs some help getting the deep connection back in my relationship. Oh, I went through this with an ex before I met my now husband. I was very similar, felt like we had to do things or else we weren't really a couple and felt more like roommates. Or we had to talk, otherwise I would go crazy wondering if he thought something was wrong. Or I thought that people who clicked would always have to chat and it would come effortlessly. Then I realized that I was doing everything for people in my relationship and never for myself, if that makes sense. The person you're most compatible with is the one where you can sit in comfortable silence together. One where just being together feels right, regardless of talking or what you're doing. I've been dating my husband for 8 years, married for 1, and we've been living together for 7 years. It was hard at first, but everything takes work, relationships, friendships, marriage, etc. We fell naturally into a pattern of not talking but comfortable silence, but it works for us. I'm still learning things about him. Sometimes tough situations don't come up until years down the line and then suddenly you're witnessing a different side of the person you thought you knew, and that's okay. It's actually pretty awesome to continue to learn new things about each other. It means you're growing and learning together. I think you're compatible but you're worried that you're incompatible. Do you want to talk more? What do you mean that you don't feel close? Perhaps do more date night things? It's very hard to give advice with only a paragraph of backstory, so perhaps you could explain more about what you mean / how you feel. Seems like to me, the relationship feels a bit boring, and you would like to know if this is normal or not, and if it's not, ways to improve it. I don't have advice, but I just wanted to say that my partner of 2 years and I are going through the exact same thing right now. It's hard with the lockdown. We aren't going on dates that we have to dress up for or get out of sweatpants. We are physically spending more time together, but it feels very mellow. As long as you're looking forward to going on dates again and rekindling your sex life, I think you're on the right track. That's a great word to describe it. Just mellow and so passive compared to the depth of our connection up until now. Perhaps it is the effect of lockdown. I'm going to talk to him tonight anyway. I hope you guys get out of the slump too. You're not the only one. Lockdown will put every relationship to the test. Part of the problem is spending too much time with each other. Everyone needs time alone and time with other people, family, friends. COVID doesn't really allow for that. Honestly, he could be sad or trying to cope with everything. You are right to see these clear signs when sex and communication break down. Have a real talk with him, a stern one to snap him out of it. Tell him you don't see the relationship lasting longer if things are breaking down. Tell him you aren't sure if he is on the same page. It really isn't fair if it's one-sided. Consider breaking it off. If he reacts, then awesome. If he doesn't, then you're better off. I've been with my BF for 5 years come May. Moved in together due to external circumstances after almost a year of dating, so we've lived together for 4-ish years. His work schedule has changed drastically due to COVID, and the spark is admittedly barely there right now. But we try to keep it alive through safer dates. We've gone hiking a few times during lockdown, bring a mask, ordered out to restaurants a few more times, because having outside food is admittedly more special, and even recently took the risk of dining out once, at a place that takes all of the recommended precautions. For Valentine's, we're going to clean house on Friday, go thrifting on Saturday, order out from very special to us places for brunch and dinner. Might build a blanket fort and spend time in it. In addition, I made it a point that neither of us should rely 100% on the other for all of our socialization, especially during lockdown. We both have people that we call and talk to regularly. We also had a team building exercise of putting together IKEA furniture a few weeks ago. And most importantly, we try to be compassionate and open about our needs and wants. So this wouldn't be my ideal time to move in with my partner of 2 years, although I absolutely love him to pieces. We are both working from home, there's nothing open, nothing to do, apart from go for walks. Things are boring and stressful right now. Being with someone 24/7 really isn't ideal, and there's a real possibility it will extinguish the spark. So first off, I would say don't panic. Your feelings aren't unique. Loads of relationships are under pressure right now. You love him, so this is all about getting through this crazy, anxious, difficult time, to a time when some sliver of normality returns. Look forward to that first meal out, first trip to the cinema, trips out to places, all the fun dates you guys can have to enjoy being together again, experiencing new stuff. Living as we all are now is taking its toll on people in so many different ways. And continuing to learn things about your partner is good, isn't it? Or do you mean you're learning about negative things? That's a different matter altogether. My BF 31 meters, and I, 28F, have been dating for 7 years and he still doesn't know if he wants to get married. My boyfriend and I have been together for 7 years and lived with each other for 6 years. We have had the future marriage conversation quite a few times in our relationship. Every time they generally ended with us agreeing that nothing is going to happen, meaning no proposal or engagement, until we both graduate college, since we worked full-time and went to school. He graduated a few years ago and I recently graduated myself. He has also decided that he wants to move to another state in order to afford a home and be able to more things in life. While I agree with this and told him that I would be willing to go with him, I also let him know that I would need to be engaged or know that a proposal is a plan for him soon in order to move away with him. He agreed with what I said and told me that buying a house is a big financial investment, so a ring would likely come a few months after buying the house, which I was completely fine with. Now, a few days ago he brought up marriage to me again and made it very clear to me that he doesn't know if he ever wants to get married at all, and his mind changes about it on a daily basis. I again made it very clear to him this is something that I want, and now I won't move with him to another state unless he makes up his mind. I let him know he put me in a terrible position of having to decide whether this relationship was still worth putting my time into, and he just responded by telling me he doesn't want to lose me and that he loves me and that he feels terrible that he can't make up his mind. I don't know what to do at this point. Cut my losses, stick it out? Update: I needed to be clearer on the home purchase. Purchasing a home is something he has always wanted to do for himself. His family comes from money and a luxurious lifestyle has been used to control him for his whole life. When we first started dating he had just started to pull away from them, wanting to be more independent and no longer under the control of family money. He would be purchasing this home on his own and not with me, which is fine. It's his dream and has never been mine. I had a conversation with my boyfriend last night. I had started doing some research on apartments in my current area and looked up some roommate search sites. This made me incredibly emotional, so he asked what was wrong. I broke down in tears and let him know that even though he didn't give me a final answer on whether he wants to get married or not, his lack of certainty is certainty in itself. I told him that as much as I don't want our relationship to end, his lack of a decision is forcing me to end the relationship because marriage is something I want in my life. He actually broke down as well and told me he is trying to push himself past some mental barriers that are holding him back. He experienced quite a bit of trauma through his life and he has slowly opened up to me about these experiences throughout the years, so I won't push him on what these barriers are. He left for a 3-day business trip today and we decided that we should take this time apart to think, and we will discuss when he comes back. As much as it breaks my heart, my mind is made up. If he still can't make up his mind and tell me that he wants to pursue marriage with me, then I will end things. Too long didn't read. My boyfriend still doesn't know if he wants to get married after being with me for 7 years. Says he is back and forth on if he wants to do that or not. I don't know what I should do. Cut your losses and leave. You make up his mind and leave. Your time is being wasted. Maybe the breakup will make him realize some things, maybe it won't, but you two are not on the same page. Marriage is important to you and is a goal. It's been a long goal for you and it sounds like he's taken every opportunity to punt. He somehow got you to allow him to punt one more time by getting you to agree to move, commit to buying a house, and then several months later buying a ring. You were agreeable probably because you have those sunken cost fallacy blues and you honed in on the word that was important, a ring. Here's more food for thought. If you can afford to move and buy a house, you can afford a sensible ring. Did it strike you odd that with years and years of planning and knowing you were graduating, he hadn't already saved for a ring? Considering graduation was the last of the big barriers, it should have. He doesn't want to get married, for whatever reason. It's time to move on. You don't want a marriage out of an ultimatum because you won't get commitment out of desire. You'll get commitment out of fear of change. Now is as good a time as any to move on with your life and continue your life goals, including finding someone who wants the type of relationship you do. Do not buy a house with him until married. If his commitment remains vague, I suggest not moving with him unless you want to be in the destination even if single. He agreed with what I said and told me that buying a house is a big financial investment, so a ring would likely come a few months after buying the house, which I was completely fine with. Whoa, please don't buy property without being married. I 24F owe it to myself to break up with him. 26/M. We've been together for 3 years now. He's never been happy with his life. For 3 years I've tried to help, to listen, to offer advice. Every time he gets upset with how his life is, his number one defense mechanism is to make things worse. He self-destructs. He hurts people using his words, especially me. Since I'm always there, he ridicules and belittles me. He compares himself to me and somehow makes me feel worse about myself too. Today we had an argument and he asked me, why do I put up with him? Why do I stay? What do I get out of our relationship? Why do I let him be like this? He asked me what I love about him, and I couldn't say one thing. I just did. On my drive home, I burst into tears. I haven't cried like this in a long time. I didn't cry because I was upset about the relationship or because of the argument. I cried because I felt so sorry for myself. The questions he asked me hit too deep. He's right. Why do I stay? Why do I do this to myself? When did I lose this much self-respect for myself that I put up with all the screaming, the belittling, and the complete lack of effort and respect? I deserve so much more. So much. I've got so much going on for me, and yet I chose to stay with a man who's not deserving. I know I should leave. I know reading this, you might think that hell, I already know what I need to do. So why don't I do it already? But even with all these thoughts, a part of me wants to stay. I want to stay for the 80% of the time where he's not in a bad mood. For the laughter and the love and the nice moments on days when he's not pissed off. Once I'm about to do it, I get hit with a ton of good memories. I keep thinking, he's going to change, and am I making such a big deal of an argument? Doubts creep up in my mind, and I end up not doing it. But I know I should leave. I know I should stop being so weak-minded, and just go. So please, anyone who's ever gone through the same thing I'm going through now, can you please give me advice? For all those who have left a relationship even though you still loved the other person, because you know it's not fair to yourself anymore, please give me the push that I desperately need. Please. Thank you. Too long didn't read. 3 years of verbal abuse. Please help me get out of this cycle.